Hello, Pendle here from Sounddust with another attempt to show you what is great about Hobbs. Now, this is the final version of Hobbs. There's a video already which has a slightly unfinal version of Hobbs. This is totally final Hobbs, and it adds quite a few very useful new features. And I'm going to go through some of those things just so you can get the hang of them and just see how useful they are to you. So firstly, when you open it up, go straight into genre tag. In its very plain form. Now, what I'm doing is holding down some keys. And if you see here, the keyboard relates to the keys and the colours there. So, lesson number 1, keys, colours. Noises are the green ones, and these are all deliberately kind of abstract. Ooh. Tells you what they are here. So you can use them as a kind of backing function, basically to add texture and grist and mulch and loveliness into stuff. And then we have the acoustic sounds. And then we have the electronical drum kits. And these are hybrid, imagined ones. And what comes in very handy is the length control. Every note has a length control. And the great thing is you can mix them all up. So is he not mixing them up? Add in some noise. So that's just me playing some notes. I'm just holding the note down, and the clever little sequencer devices are doing all the hard stuff. And in the black ones, these are particularly special now. So these are 12 different, 13 actually, bass-related sounds. In terms of what they are here, on the whole these are analog, they're not always. But it's a selection of what I thought would be useful. And they all kind of slightly slot together. And what's new as well here is the key quantize and scale quantize. You've got a big lump of scales, most of which you won't use, but there's a big lump of scales and a key, and it will then automatically, whatever you've got in there, will automatically quantize to the key that you've selected. And these sequences work in a slightly different way to usual sequences. You select your note here by dragging it up or down. And there's about 2 octaves. And the reason there isn't many, because they're all actually work in a velocity way rather than a spread across the keyboard way. And every single one of these sequences has its own volume, so you can mix how things go. And you've also got the length as well. So that's just for the bass notes, the black keys. And of course these all. Okay, so that's first thing to mention. Now, if we go back to our hi-hat, you'll notice you've got the sound of ratcheting, and this is these things here. Now, basically we've got each note can be split into 9 notes, and it can also be moved where that note starts. And if you're going at 16ths and you've got lots of notes in already, splitting into another 9 notes is semi-impossible, but it'll have a darn good go. And you'll notice that there's the kind of faint ones, and then they go white. And that's because I've moved them off the beginning of the note. So you drag up and down to add divisions, and you drag along, so we can just put a note late. And we've got the percentage of where it is. So 1% means it's basically the next note. And that comes in handy in the bass. So if I, let's go here. If I do that, put a note up there, drag that all the way to the right. Take off joke. There we go. We can make kind of chords. And they'll stay in the scale selected here. Okay, so that's a handy tip already. Now, the other thing to notice is this is new, and it's doing that. And that's because I can click on it and drag it into my DAW. I'm doing it now. You can't see because I'm not filming my DAW. But it will basically export the MIDI for that channel only. So you can do it for every single channel. We'll call them channels. Every single note, you can just export that MIDI file. So you can do the clever ratcheting thing and then export it. And then add it to any other drums, keyboards or whatever. The bass sounds gives you pitches. Okay. So that's tip number something or other. Now another thing in the whole of Hobbs is that if you hit one of these red little nodules, it'll randomize. And if you hit a white one, it'll put it back. Over here, it randomizes all the effects, which we'll talk about later. White one turns them all off. Green one turns them all on. Now we've got a new selection over here. I've got to be careful what I do. Top one, it's square and it's red. That's because it randomizes the actual lane note you're playing. And if I hit the white, it goes back to nothing. And it randomizes based on these presets over here. It's pretty damn random, but it has a sense of what it's trying to achieve. So, but you're not necessarily going to get a kick pattern in a kick lane. Okay, let's do the snare. So I've now randomized that snare and that kick. Oof. Not always a happy accident. Sometimes an unhappy one. Oh, there you go. Sometimes a happy one. Tip number, whatever number we're at. Over here, it shows you what instrument you're playing. If you're playing 2, hit that and it'll scan between them. Let's put a kick at the start. Okay, so if I want to make that smaller, if I want to make the hybrid snare smaller, that wasn't so hard, was it? Now, there's 2 more here with lots of colours on them, and those randomise absolutely everything. I'm not going to do it just now, but they'll randomise every single sequence, and the white one resets all the sequences. So that's new and special in the final version of Hobbs. And then over here, we've now got these effects, these very special, great quality effects on sends, so that, as you can hear, on the kick, so it's per colour, as usual. So the purple is the electric drums, whereas on the acoustic drums, there's nothing sending. Yeah, and so, but I could add some reverb there. We can have them both. So it just makes these effects a whole lot more useful. You've got lots of presets here. There's a whole heap of really useful different styles of delay unit here, which you can use for actually noise and other things as well. You can do that stuff, should you wish. So those are the basic sounds with some sends. Now, of course, the real gubbins is here, and the new stuff is here as well. So, OOF, as you may or may not know, let's turn these off. OOF is saturation, muck, tape noise, tape muck, etc. Yeah. And we can automate that here by turning the automation on, clicking on that. If we do sequence view locked, it'll stay there. And it's got its own sequencer, so it can do whatever you want. And that's everything. And the whole point of Hobbs is everything is mulched through quite a complex busing matrix. So there's each knob is controlling different effects in different positions in the bus, which is why you get this kind of organic feel. So if I turn that off, new in the final version is we've got 3 flavors of WOOF. WOOF. If we turn it off, WOOF is EQ, and we've now got flattish. We've got sharp, which has got quite high resonances, and then filter nearly acts as a low pass filter, but doesn't quite. It's more complex than that. But you can also, as long as you don't have the sequencing on, you can control it here as well. That's frequency, but you can't control the cue. So that's cut or boost, or you can override it there. Yep. And same here. Turn on the sequencer, and it'll be different depending on the flavour you got set. DOOF, same thing. We've got 3 flavours. Now, DOOF is the most complicated of all in terms of how the instrument's built, and it's lots of different layers of dynamics control and some doubling and various things, and the different flavours kind of highlight that as well. Now, each of one of these, as with the WOOF, each setting from 0 to 127 is a different setting. So it's worth even experimenting. So there's different things even between one number to the next. Glue is a kind of slightly mild variation of things. Mulch, it's got that more crazy doubling stuff going on. And smash is much smashier. And they sound different. And if we turn the sequencing on, you may notice what I've been doing with the programming. If you like, let's turn that off lock. If we like that pattern, we can go to copy sequence, then go to DOOF, and then paste that sequence. Boof. So it'll follow. And if you want it to unfollow, you can go to invert pattern, and it'll do the opposite. It'll be the other way around. See what I mean? And that'll sound different if we turn that into glue. Oh, I inverted the wrong one. Hey, let's invert that one. Sounded quite good though. Let's try that. Let's try mulch. And then of course you can right click, draw a line. You can change the tempo, you can change length, etc., etc. Take that off. Let's invert the kick back. Let's turn that off. If you like the kick pattern and want to add to it, utilities, repeat pattern, doubles it over, and then you can add change as well. That's off the start of the beat. Let's put it there. What do you say if I want to make it all a bit swingier? Well, this little knob here makes all of these control all of the note sequences in one go. So I can, so that's all of them. Extra swingy. Same with chaos, same with length. It controls every single sequencer. Same with rate. Slow. Hey. Let's make it a bit longer. Or mental. Yep. Reasonable. And then, of course, you could just drag those patterns out again individually. Let's do the length. Let's put that back. Turn that off again, and then we're back onto individual control. So we could make the kick slower and the... Ooh. Now, ebb, yet again, it's got its own sequencer. I'm going to lock it. An ebb is it's a master volume ducker, basically. So when these are big and that's small, less volume. So you can do kind of, and this is right at the end of the signal chain, except for this reverb. So all the effects will get squished as well, including the delays. I'll turn that off. And another handy tip, if I take that off lock, let's just turn that off. Let's turn that off. So there's my kick pattern again. If I copy that, go to ebb, paste. So now it will duck. Turn it on. It's ducking the start. We can adjust the length as well. It's a ducking the start of the note, but if you cram a load of that in there, you get interesting effects. You weren't expecting that? I know I wasn't. But if you go back to the ebb and lock it so we can see it, and invert that, then it'll do the opposite again, which may be handy. And if you want to edit it, of course, you do that. Now over here, these are the individual channel controls that go with each of these coloured sounds here. So you can do separate effects, channels, separate volume, separate attack, and sustain, which works in relation to the length as well. And you've also got high and low pass filter. So that's one for everyone. You've also got a randomizer there, which comes in handy. Over on this side, these are part of the chain and they affect everything. So we've got a lo-fi. You can go full on. You can add noise, which can be quite handy if you're then ducking. So it can just be an interesting source of noise. Guitar pedal. Randomize that. You can get anything from subtle to not subtle out of this, but it adds an interesting extra texture. We've got 2 impulse responses with hundreds of impulse responses. So this one, the pre one, is pre-ebb. And it's tangled up. I think tangled up is the best way of saying they're tangled up together. You've got an automator, not a randomizer. Now you've got all these tonal things as well. So you can do quite interesting, if I go for a low drone, let's go for, if I actually turn this off, so none of the sequences are running now, it's just a normal drum machine. So you can do these. That's just me playing the drums. So you can mix in a drone that is always triggered. And Eb's still running. If I turn Eb off, that's my version of the overload by Talking Heads. And you can have another one as well with a different note. Yes, let's try that one. And then you can blend them together if you wish. And if you put Eb on, which is then cutting this one out, but not this one, there's something interesting there. I'm on the bass notes. Even without a sequencer, they will always, let's turn these off, even without a sequencer, the bass notes will always stick to the scale. So let's turn Eb off. So you could so harder notes will go higher, lower notes will go lower, but they'll stay in the scale, which can be handy. Or you could have a sequence running, of course, turn off the bass, sequence is running, and I'm playing a jazz bass line, just by using the same note at different velocities. See what I mean? It's endless, this. Turn check off. Oh, let's put some reverb on, some delay. Let's turn it on first, you fool. This isn't working out well, is it? Too much on the drums. Well, I meant well. We've also got a high and a low pass filter which are on the master final output as well. So everything goes through that stuff as well. There you go. Hobbs is just brilliant for just finding stuff, and don't forget the noises. There's lots of that is actual record crackle. So if you want to do CDs glitches, if you go short and fast, and these are on round robins as well, so you get lots of different things. There you go. So Hobbs, brilliant device for massive creativity. That's just a quick talk through of what it can do. I'm going to do more in depth and more tutorials, but I think that gives you a good idea of what is available. Don't be put off. It's not terrifying. It's actually very, very easy. Says the man who spent months building it. That's it. Thank you very much. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, you just need to watch it again, obviously. Take care. See you on the other side, and goodbye.